Keto low carb Bialys. What's a Bialy? I'm going to learn you. I'm just a regular guy, eating what everyone else is eating. That led to obesity and out of control type 2 diabetes. Who's feeling like crap? This guy, me, until I stopped eating factory food. I completely reversed my type 2 diabetes and I'm losing weight. Join me on Primal Inspired Keto as we explore recipes and living just a little bit primal in this modern world. Hi, welcome back to Primal Inspired Keto. I'm Mark Wheeler. So finally I'm getting to my one of my recipes. This is my Keto Bialy, and it's more of an homage to a Bialy. Of course, it's not exactly like a Bialy, but Bialys, growing up in New York, on Long Island, there was bagel places, and that's what they were, bagels and Bialys. Even some places that are called bagels and Bialys now that still make bagels or Bialys, but Bialys are kind of a dying food group, I guess. The smell of this is absolutely incredible. And also growing up, around New York bagels, I don't ever remember anything other than salt and garlic and onion and poppy seed and all that kind of stuff. There was no, cinnamon and raisin, blueberry. What did I see the other day? A bagel that was French toast bagel. I mean, that didn't exist. It was bread. It was robust. Big chunk of dough in a Bialy, in a bagel, and of course the telltale hole in the middle, the trademark hole. And then after they rise, they actually boil them to get that crust, and they're made to be substantial, and particularly New York bagels are really big. So the Bialy was kind of like an alternative, and the way it was explained to me when I was a kid was Bialys were more for people that didn't want to pick it up and bite into a big bagel. They could put the same schmutz, the same cream cheese or butter or whatever on the Bialy and tear off little pieces and eat it that way. It'd kind of be like me reading the comics and saying, "Oh, that Doonesbury, I don't get it," and tearing off a little piece of Bialy and put a little butter on it and like that, rather than a big bagel. So probably a little more sophisticated. But in this case, it's my homage to the Bialy. So I'm going to put this one back in the container because the smell is killing me. I haven't broken my fast for today yet. And then we'll get on with the video. So here we are. This is my table that I made for doing my recipes. It's a nice piece of maple, but it's the base is kind of loose. So forgive me, it moves around a lot. It's still a work in progress. So 2 cups of almond flour, good almond flour. And then 3 eggs. And I use bacon fat, so there's probably 4 tablespoons. Another ½ cup of almond flour. And then my Primal Inspired Everything Bagel Seasoning. And it's onion and garlic and salt, and that's my Redmond salt. You can add extra, we'll add extra salt to the recipe, but it's a flake sea salt in the actual prepackaged seasoning that I use. But it's all organic. It's really, really good. So I just incorporate the bacon fat into the flour, and this is not any kind of science in making this flour. It's really cut and dry. Matter of fact, this is called cutting in the fat. So we'll finish cutting the fat into the flour, and I want to skip along here a little bit. After it's well incorporated into the almond flour, then I'll add the 3 eggs. And don't even worry about pre-mixing the eggs, because you're going to beat them all together in this. It really doesn't matter. Like I said, it's pretty simple. There's no baking science to this really at all, except for what I do to make it a little bit fluffy. After I get this all mixed together, now I'm going to add probably another ¼ cup of water to this. I'll add a teaspoon of Redmond's real salt. I'm using kosher salt here because I'm not so much worried about it being, kind of heavy in the mix. It'll it'll dissolve. And then I'm going to add my additional, probably about a half cup of water. Maybe a quarter cup. I don't know. Should have measured, but you'll know what it's like. You want to get it to the point where it's like pancake batter. So I've got the batter about where I want it at this point. And then you add the half cup of additional flour to that batter and then fold it in. Don't overbeat it. Don't mix it like crazy. You want it just to thicken this up just a little bit and to have air captured around the actual flour itself, and it tends to make a nice, more of a fluffy batter, fluffy, bread than just mixing it all together. I don't use any double-acting baking powder or anything like that in it. I used to. I don't have to anymore. This works really well. So now I'm using this cutting board just as a surface that I can build them on, and then a piece of parchment paper. Really simple, easy to keep clean. And so I'll put the big blobs of the batter onto the parchment paper. So now that I've got them spread out and flattened out, without overdoing it, now I'm going to add my everything bagel seasoning. And that first one there was more of a biscuit the way it worked out, just for just some variety. And be generous. I mean, it's a good product. And then I've got I make this sometimes out of my whole, or my onion flake, my organic onion flakes, or minced onion, I should say. Or like in this case, I took about a quarter of an onion and just caramelized it with a little bit of butter in a frying pan, and it makes it into quite the aromatic, tasty addition to this Bialy. Bialys traditionally had the same sort of onion on them. The one that I have, this was last week's Bialys. The ones that I made for this week for my meal prep, I used just the caramelized onions, and they're not as dark, but very, very aromatic. These were pretty incredible. So I'm putting a little more batter on top of them. You could do that. The ones that I made this week, I didn't put anything on top of. I just let all the seasoning sit on top of it. It goes on as dry seasoning for the most part, and then once it steams all together in the microwave. And that's the interesting about it too. It tends to be all the flavors really go together the second and third day, and throughout the week. So you put them in a container, let them sit, and they're pretty incredible. So I usually put these in the microwave. 3-4 minutes, depending on your microwave. You got to see what you need to do. Add some more of the seasoning. And this seasoning is really great on scrambled eggs. It's great on hard-boiled eggs. There's all sorts of things. If you have something that you're putting cream cheese on, put that in on top of that. It works really well. It's, again, organic poppy, organic onion, organic garlic, the sea salt. It's just really good. So that's what it looks like. I'll put the sheet of paper right in the microwave and let it go around in circles, and in 6 minutes I'll be back. So don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, and look for all my updates. Don't forget, I've got a recipe for a sugar-free keto cranberry sauce, whole berry sauce, and then I've got one coming up that I'm going to do, hopefully, I don't know this week because I'm traveling this weekend, but next week for a cranberry sauce with like a jellied sauce. My wife doesn't like the whole cranberry, but I'm going to try that too. It's super, super easy to make, and it makes a really nice cranberry sauce. If you want to, throw a little organic kind of sweetener in there, I've made it with a little bit of honey. Check out the video; it kind of explains it. So here we are back again. They've come out of the microwave, and I've got a plate here, and with just a paper towel on it, or you can use a cooling rack or something. And so there they are, done. Looks the same as when they went in for the most part. And so I'll put them, while they're still hot, I'll put them on the paper towel to keep them from being too wet on the bottom. And then you can take, your additional, there's enough batter there to make a few more, so I'll make a few more, and then that's how I end up with my meal prep for the week. Okay, there's my Keto Bialys. I hope you get a chance to try this recipe. Again, check it out. I've got a recipe coming up for my my keto carne asada, and I've got a really cool hack on how I use a fairly inexpensive piece of meat and make great carne asada. And then I've got a very similar recipe. I do the same sort of thing with the piece of meat as far as preparing it, and then I use my my shawarma seasoning, and it's a pretty cool looking recipe, and it's a great hack, and it's super tasty. Definitely something when for me, I'm eating once a day, and it's something you really look forward to. Besides just just feasting, it's something really good. The aroma, everything about it's just terrific. Yeah, remember, click the bell, subscribe, keep tuning in for more videos, and let me know how you're doing with your keto fasting, one meal a day, whatever it is, experience.